Well, we're back for another Christmas. Don't go anywhere.
Let them come. All I ask is that the king will put me in the front line. Sire, my name is Reepicheep, and I am unreservedly at your majesty's disposal.
By the lion, it's a mouse. Greetings, Senior Mouse. I am honored to meet so valiant a beast.
Welcome to Christmas episode. We're back in Narnia once again this time around. It's the second series of the BBC's Chronicles of Narnia. And I'm back as ever with the legendary Neil Stringer and our very special guest, Ian Lawler.
Johnny,
Say hello, everybody.
I'm so excited for this one, just for the simple fact that this year you've wised up and we're nice and warm in our homes. Last year I was freezing my buttocks off.
And just on that point, Christmas jumper, nice Snoopy Christmas jumper, hat, we're all in.
I'm a Grinch.
My Mulder and Scully jumper here, guys.
Oh.
Can't debate about aliens.
We are here to talk about the Chronicles of Narnia, and written by C.S. Lewis, who of course was from Northern Ireland, which is of course where we are recording this podcast and where we are from, if you hadn't guessed. But there is also another Northern Irish link to this special. Neil, who is it? John Hallam is
John Hallam is from Northern Ireland.
And speaking of Northern Ireland, it wouldn't be Northern Ireland without some Tito crisps. These are specially made for Christmas. Turkey, ham, and stuffing flavored. And Mr. Tito here is wearing his Santa outfit.
And you realize, and you notice it's actually Northern Ireland Tito, not South Republic of Ireland Tito.
Yeah, this is Northern Irish Tito that C.S. Lewis would have been proud of. But anyway, sidestepping that very poor beginning, we did watch all 6 episodes of Series 2. Series 2, basically, it's titled The Chronicles of Narnia, Prince Caspian, and the Voyage of the Dawn Treader, which is 2 chapters of Narnia in the one story. And obviously, we're saying goodbye to 2 of the main characters at the beginning of this. And then at the end, we say goodbye to the rest of them. Leading up into the 3rd story, which we'll be covering next Christmas. Can't wait till then, I hear you say it. But I mean, again, brilliant special effects, lots of fun, and the costumes for the time were pretty good. But overall, Ian, this time around, what do you think? Do you think they improved things, or how do you think it went?
For me, it was interesting because I had only ever seen The Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe. So this was new to me. So it was, I thought the first part, the Prince Caspian 2-parter, was just all right. Wasn't bad, but I thought the Voyage of the Dawn Treader was a lot better. It was a lot of fun. It's got some interesting characters, especially Augustus. who is, let's just say,
Eustace.
oh yeah, sorry, Eustace.
Useless Eustace.
Yes, that's him. Let's just say I thought at the start I wanted to kill him, and then he turns into a dragon, and suddenly you like him.
Yeah.
That was Aslan giving him a life lesson.
So yeah, I really enjoyed it. Well, it was a lot of fun, and as you say, the effects, for the time were very good.
We also have Warwick Davis as Reepicheep in this.
Yes.
This was shortly after he played Willow in the movie, and he's now back playing Willow again on TV. So it's just a complete coincidence that happened, and we were going to watch this and Willow came back. But just interesting, that.
I don't think it was that old. I don't think it was that old. But
I believe he in this he's about 18.
Because he's only 52 now, so I know he was a child. He played an Ewok in Return of the Jedi.
And speaking of which, there's two other Star Wars actors in this. In fact, there's three maybe. Because something we didn't realize, we were watching a clip from Blue Peter with it was Mark Curry talking about how Aslan is put together and the people involved in it. And we hadn't realized that Tim Rose was one of the he was the animatronics wizard who was controlling Aslan's face, and obviously he was involved in Akbar in Return of the Jedi and in other things as well relating to Star Wars. But he came to a con locally, and I didn't go to speak to him, but I did speak to a bloke before they were setting up as I arrived, and I just said hello to him, just nothing much more than that. And then he went over and sat down, and it was him. Obviously, he's more of a behind the scenes guy. So
did you know who he was at that point?
No, I had no clue. Only when he sat down and his name was written behind him, that's when I realized. So I was like, oh. But I didn't realize until I was looking at the information for the podcast, and I just went to get the cast list, and I saw he was there, and I thought, hang on a minute, was he in that clip that we watched? And obviously, for the benefit of the viewers and listeners, I'll show you some clips from that Blue Peter thing as well.
And from model engineers with a big future to some already doing some top-class work. If you're one of the 10 million people who watched The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, the first of the Chronicles of Narnia, you'll remember one of the main characters was Aslan the Lion. Now, this might come as a bit of a surprise, and I hate to disillusion you, but Aslan isn't actually real. And as the most important character in the story, Aslan had to look really convincing and lion-like. And the reason that he looks so good is because his designer, Vin Burnham, has done such a great job in creating him. Congratulations, Vin.
Thank you.
He really is so realistic. And I've seen model animals on pantomimes like Daisy the cow and things, but this is amazing. Was it difficult to get him so realistic?
Well, it was difficult, and it took several months of quite a lot of us working, to get it so that it didn't look like a pantomime animal.
I think I've scored, don't you? So what did he do? Did he study lions?
Yes, we did. We went to Longleat before they were open for the season, and they let us get very close to some lions, about this close, but they were behind bars.
Doing a sculpture. Are
Yeah.
you working with clay?
Yes, that's the first stage of the head, which is clay.
What about his hair? This mane is
Well,
wonderful.
This is made of yak hair, which is a sort of mountain goat, and
How did he get yak hair?
you get it from you can get all sorts of peculiar things, and there's a hair importer
Yeah.
that I got loads of it, masses and masses of hair. There's an
There's
awful
bits of
lot
gold in
it.
there too, which just
Yes,
captures the light.
Yes.
And what about the rest of the fur?
Well, that's slightly different because it's just car seat covers actually.
Really?
Yes, stretchy car seat covers.
It could have been made on Blue Peter. That's just the sort of thing that
Yes.
we do. Now, what about the eyes? He's even got eyelashes here.
Yep.
And the mouth. How do they work?
Well, they're operated by Animatronics, and that was designed by Tim Rose.
And Tim's coming. Welcome, Tim.
Hello.
So you've got the electronics there. So
Yes.
perhaps you can describe how you move the eyes.
He has universal eyes, which means basically that he can look left and right, up and down. And then he has eye blinks, so he can blink his eyes. And he also has a special trick where he can wink an eye if you want him to.
Let's see that. Give us a wink. There. There he goes. And then what about the mouth?
The mouth's controlled by Elsa inside. He has a sniff mechanism to make the nose wrinkle.
Quick sniff.
He can snarl.
Yeah, I can see the nose wrinkling there.
And he can go into a full roar.
Let's see the full roar. Oh, marvellous sound effects as well. It does look fierce there, but I noticed, Vin, that you've tried to make him look as gentle as possible, particularly with the eyes.
Yes, in fact, the eyes are much softer than a real lion's eyes, which are quite hard and piercing.
What's it like in there? This is Elsa, by the way, inside.
Oh, one's in one's own little world in here.
Is it warm?
Yes.
Are you used to this kind of thing?
Yes, as well.
Peeking out, giving a quick waddle. We should be able to see Todd. Hi, Todd.
Oh,
now,
yeah.
you seem to me to have the most difficult job of all. Is it unbearable?
No, it's a balanced job. And the centre of gravity of the lion is where Aslan's sternum is.
Yes.
So I'm resting on Ailsa and she's resting on me. And usually we stay upright.
So did you have to do lots of rehearsal to coordinate the leg movements?
We did. And we were very good on studio floors.
Yeah.
But not so... forest floors are a little difficult.
I can imagine. And I know from all the makeup girls and wardrobe girls and people, you had to have lots of massage on the back, and I can understand why.
The Blue Peter, the Blue Peter special sort of feature we watched was interesting because you really got to have a good look at Aslan and how they created him.
And how close they were to each other inside there.
Yeah, yeah. But it was a fantastic costume, if that's the right word for it.
A good step up from the pantomime horse technique.
Yes, as they mentioned in there, you know, and the lady whose name escapes me, who was overall responsible for making it, said that she did make pantomime horses as well, but she made other creatures for other productions too. So you can certainly see the evolution of the costumes, even from the previous Narnia series.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think did you mention the sort of the fur was made from the interior of a car of some sort?
Yeah, she said that the mane around Aslan was made from yak's hair, which is a mountain goat.
That's right.
And the fur around the body and face was car seat covers.
Yeah. Which you think, wow.
The face, is still fantastic, I think, because it's very lifelike. The face of Aslan, I think, holds up extremely well.
And that's Tim Rose, as we discovered. You know, that's he was responsible for operating the animatronics, and he's a big animatronics guy. And obviously, I'm not sure what they do nowadays in that field, but I do think that this still exists in some way.
Well, I think
obviously, if I'd spoken to him in the con, maybe I would have found that out.
some films still use animatronics, but I think some directors still like to go have physical,
I do. Funny enough, now you've mentioned that, I do think one of the, if not more of the Jurassic World movies did use animatronics.
I think I read that the recent Jurassic World film Dominion use animatronics.
Right.
And I also had a discussion with a work colleague there, talking about how we look back at the Jurassic Park, the combination of CGI and animatronics holds up better than just CGI. There's something more tangible, something a bit more real about animatronics.
And yes, and the people, if anyone watched the Light and Magic series on Disney Plus, where they talk about how they developed that, and with Phil Tippett, who was the stop motion guy, and they did a combo of stop motion testing and stuff, and it was the people who did the digital artists that then said they could get the dinosaurs to look realistic and set hard to work, and it was that film that helped push the boundaries then for what we know today.
Sure, other documentaries from RoboCop said that Phil Tippett did the Ed 209. He did those little things that that kind of had like a comical touch, like after RoboCop enjoy the episode now, and you have this bit where his legs are walking on there, and his legs collapse, and you see the toe go like that. There, that was little things that Bill Tippett did. It's kind of like something you can do with stop motion. I don't, like maybe it's not the same with CGI. You could do it, but it'll be different.
Yeah, there was definitely a charm to it.
Now, one of the things actually I wanted to bring up, which was quite interesting, because when we were watching this, we watched the first 3 episodes and then the last 3 episodes, and we were talking about John Hallam being in it and that he was in Doctor Who, but it wasn't until I looked up some information online that I discovered that obviously when you look at the year 1989, it seems obvious, but you don't think that they were filming at exactly the same time. But that seems to be the case, that he was working on the Ghostlight story at the same time. Because they were both BBC productions, the schedules for both were carefully arranged so he could take part in both of them. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
But in Ghostlight, he's only in the 3rd episode.
Yes, so they were able to manage. It's not like he was, featuring heavily in that. But even so, some productions wouldn't necessarily allow you the freedom to do that.
Even the Ghostlight, I believe, was the last episode of Doctor Who filmed. Ghostlight actually was the last episode of Doctor Who, at the run. So,
and actually, something I haven't seen the 2008 production of this, the film version, but I believe Warwick Davis is in the film version as well. So it's kind of interesting too.
Well, I haven't seen the film version since they came out in the cinema. They're not ones I've revisited, but I do remember the film of Prince Caspian actually expanded and made it more of an event of it, because I felt like Prince Caspian in this one was more or less a wee mini 2-parter to set you up for the Voyage of the Dawn Treader. It felt very small. It was only because Prince Caspian was only 2 episodes, and obviously the fights were small scale compared to what he had in the Disney film. So I do think the Disney film probably had more of an event with Prince Caspian.
Oh, it did, but I think it was also these 2 episodes were used to say goodbye to Peter and Susan, which surprised me a bit, I have to say.
So I know they weren't in the 3rd film either.
Yeah, it's the same in the book. They're not in the books either. Beyond that point, I mean, it's said, it's in the reviews and stuff at the time, and you kind of looking back on it now, you're sort of remembering, because it's been a long time since I've seen it. Warwick Davis does the show as a very brave mouse. He does.
He's great.
His character, is very endearing in that way. So
and the makeup, and even his makeup was great. I actually thought the makeup, for example, for Warwick Davis' mouse, compared to the makeup for last year's, production of the version of the Lion of the Witch and the Wardrobe, had been a step up, because for 1989 BBC budget, this is pretty lavish.
Christmas is a time for goodwill. It's a time for generosity, for giving. And what we would like is 1,000 subscribers, and you can help us get there. We hope to have 1,000 subscribers in 2023. So you can help us by doing it right this moment if you haven't done so already. And if you have, we thank you so much.
Yeah, I've always liked the performances that Warwick Davis has done. I always think he's a very talented actor. He does bring a charm to the creatures and humans and characters he plays. I say creatures because he's a mouse in this one, and
not every role is a speaking part for him as well.
I mean, he did have a speaking part. He's an Ewok, but he did make that Ewok card he played Wicket. I believe it's the Ewok card he played. I think he's the one who you first see when he meets Leia.
Yeah.
I think that's Warwick Davies in Return of the Jedi.
Yes. And I believe he did Yoda as well in certain scenes, but he was also Marvin the Martian in the version of Hitchhikers, but obviously
Oh, right. Okay.
the voice was Alan Rickman.
Yeah.
So just in that, obviously that's not him doing a performance vocally, but he's certainly on the scene, doing that. So sometimes, people can have that sort of role where they're sometimes in front of camera, sometimes they're behind a mask or in a costume.
Yeah. And he was in Doctor Who in the Matt Smith era. I think he did a Neil Gaiman. He was in an episode that was written by Neil Gaiman. So he has been in a Doctor Who as well.
John Hallam, he's just obviously he's been in loads of things. Carry On Films, Flash Gordon, Ivanhoe, Santa Claus the movie. He's been in. He was, and I don't know if anyone's familiar with. Jim Henson's Storyteller that used to be on Channel 4 has been in that. There's loads of places where he shows up, not to mention Doctor Who that we've already said.
But it did say that he has played a lot of tough man roles, tough guy roles.
Yeah. So it was interesting his role in this, say, compared to the role he was playing in Doctor Who at the same time. Very different characters.
Well, in Ghostlight, he had this really soft voice as light.
Like this. Oh yes, I speak like this.
Yeah, it was. And then Kenny Baker was the other Star Wars actor. This wasn't he?
Kenny Baker and Jack Purvis. That's Jack Purvis. He was in the Time Bandits and Dark Crystal as well. So all these people, that are. They've been in a few programs and things, experienced up to this point.
Yeah.
If you look at what work Davis has been in, even up to this point, he's been in a Hollywood movie and everything. So,
well, when I watched the first one, when I saw the cast, it wasn't him. But you bring up Time Bandits. The other actor I thought who was in the first part of Prince Caspian was David Rappaport. Now, obviously, it wasn't David Rappaport, but he was in Time Bandits. Obviously, he would have still been alive at this point because he was going to be an absolute execution, but he attempted suicide, and then he had to be quickly recast with Saul Rubinek. But he did commit suicide not long after the episode of execution had aired. So that actor had popped into my mind when
I know, and I thought the magician was Jeffrey Belden because it's so long since I've seen it. And he popped up and he looked a lot like him. And it's like, hang on. And then after a couple of seconds, like, what is this guy's name? I was trying to find his name. But then Jeffrey does show up at the end. He's the star, because there is a scene, and I'm going to show it to you now, where the princess comes out, and we were like, tonight, Matthew, I'm going to be a princess.
Welcome your host, Matthew Kelly. Thank you very much. Hello, good evening, and welcome to the live final of Stars in the Rise.
And as I was saying, the girl, Gabrielle Anwar, that's her. She played the princess. Now, very small role in this, but there's a series that people may remember, Stephen Moffat series called Press Gang, and she was in that for a period of time, playing a character called Sam Black. She shows up in that. And if you're interested, that series is on BritBox at the moment, so you'll be able to watch and enjoy there. But it's interesting though that you see these things when they're originally shown, and then you need to watch them for ages, and then you watch them again and you think, oh, that's so and so. They were nobody then, but they've become people since then. And one of the people, when I was looking through, was our old friend Useless Eustace. I mean, he the guy who played him,
David Thwaites.
David Thwaites, yes, that's him. Now, he went on to be a Hollywood producer and produced a lot of things. The Black Swan film, the 2018 Halloween, the list goes on as to what he's been involved in. Some quality productions. Bad Santa 2, don't know, never seen it, but he's involved in that as well. So it's just interesting to see the paths that people have taken. People work really. Possibly, I didn't see. I think he's a better producer than he is an actor. Perhaps, I don't know.
well, you can't judge an actor when he's 13 compared to what he was later.
Yeah, well, he doesn't seem to have been in many more things as an actor. So, that's what I look for, when I see these things. But, and then Samuel West played Prince Caspian, the older Prince Caspian, and he has continued on, and he's been nominated for BAFTAs and things, and he's known for Howard's End, 1992, Notting Hill, 1999, and he was in Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, and he's been in a few other things as well, actually. So the cast here, they would have been well known at the time. Some of them were up and coming actors as well. Obviously, the child stars. Some of them went on to act in bigger and better things, but
we had a McGann. Yeah. We had a McGann in the
we had Joe McGann, who we all know from The Upper Hand. He's been in lots of things, of course, and he was one of the original Harry Enfield Scousers. All right, calm down. And the locations, I was just looking through to see, because you sort of look and you kind of think a lot of these places look familiar. Now, I haven't been to Wales, but a lot of it was in Wales. So it was filmed in Hawkstone Park in Shropshire, with the Follies standing in for the ruins. And then there was the railway scenes were filmed at Ardee Station on the Severn Valley Railway. And the Mirazas Castle was in Pembroke Castle. So, it's just interesting, these places, they're actually well-known film locations as well. Other film units have used the same locations for things. A lot of locations for the Don Treader stuff were also on the Tresco Isles, as of Scilly. So I'm not familiar with those areas, but I believe it's near Wales. So
yeah,
I think it was outside broadcast world of film, probably because of the animation would probably match him better.
Yeah, it's what we were saying before is if you shoot something on film, it's much more difficult to add in effects because you've got to transfer that to video and then add in the effects. Whereas if you shoot it on video, you've got everything there. And in terms of outside broadcast, sometimes you can add things there and then, immediately. And sometimes you can take it into the editing suite and apply a lot more effects. That's why a lot of TV shows that were shot on film were then transferred to videotape to be edited so they can apply those video effects. But obviously the outside broadcast had better, the cameras were such that they were more capable of doing things in the time frame they wanted to do them. It's already recorded, it's there, and they don't have to process it or anything.
And then transfer from the videotape is perhaps one of the reasons why when they remaster shows in that period, they've had to go back to the original film negatives with like they do with Star Trek Next Generation, because they have to rebuild the episodes. So because it's set on film based on the high definition. So obviously that the base level boards, you go straight to video. It's like the direct quality from the periods from the source. There is more information.
You can't. There's more information in film. Whenever you do that, so that's why they can restore things. But having said that, they're coming on leaps and bounds. A lot of the Doctor Who stuff has been remastered and upscaled, and I think certainly with DVD quality and stuff, the Chronicles of Narnia still holds up. It's its own look. It's definitely its own look for sure.
Oh yeah.
Film is certainly much more pleasant on the eye the frame rate of video is much harsher, but I don't think it takes away from what they're trying to do here. I think it gives its own, I suppose, unique look, doesn't it?
Yeah, because sometimes I think that the Disney movies from the mid noughties probably are trying too hard to kind of cash in on the success of the Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings trilogy. The more epic fights, and they probably want to do them on scale so that they kind of reminiscent of the skill he had in Lord of the Rings, whereas obviously BBC doesn't have the budget to have those big armies, so you just have a couple. Sword fights, and
that's what that was. Okay.
Draw the circle. Prepare the blue fire.
Now you are a lioness.
So, what are we doing here now? Buy me a coffee. It's called crowdfunding, darling. People give us money, we make a film. Simple as that. Oh, I'm the star of that. No, I'm the star. No, I think you've got a face that only a mother could love. It's your face too, mate. Look, let's be professional about this here. Tell them how they can support us. All right, it's too complicated for someone like me. Just roll the tape and let someone else do the explaining.
If you're a fan of funny, stupid, entertaining movies, then you'll want to support us. And this is how you do it. You go to super8portals.com and you throw us a few quid. The more, the merrier. You'll see our goals on there and what we intend to do. Providing us funding will get us to the next stage. We've been developing the film and filming some test footage. The entire film, as you might have guessed, will be shot on Super 8, so anything that you can contribute will go towards bringing in a team of people to help us get further along with the project. So anything you can send through, we'd be very grateful for. Thank you.
All right, come on, do the battle cry, the battle charge, go on.
Yeah.
And you don't have a spoon or anything to be a sword, no?
Or not there. Why God, that line, I'm thinking, why a spoon? Because I might not.
I have a screwdriver, so maybe I could use that. I was thinking, the dragon. For those in the know that are old enough to remember the children's, the BBC Schools series, Look and Read. There was a series called a story called Through the Dragon's Eye, and the dragon that they had in this and it was from around the same time. I think that story was from 1990 or something like that, or maybe it was in and around the same time. But basically, the dragons looked very similar in the technology because they were able to have smoke come out of the nose and everything as well.
Another thing I thought was really good is when Aslan comes and transforms him back into the boy, even the way that the scales
are coming off,
and the way that it looks like it's dissolving, were for two flesh. I actually thought that was pretty well done.
It is not enough. No, you have still not shed all that needs to be shed to get down to you. The good, essential you that lies within.
The water turns everything into gold. That poor fellow down there. It's So that wasn't a statue at all?
It's all quite plain. He came here on a hot day, took his clothes off to bathe, dived in.
Don't!
Just think. We must test it. The king who owned this island would soon be the richest in the world.
Yeah, it all looked well done. And even the dragon's face, the emotion, there was an emotion with the face, when he's trying to, obviously he can't talk, but they're asking him questions about who are you? And he's shaking his head and his tears, and it looked great. You actually felt sorry for him, unlike his human form, who was just a.
You just want to kill him, kill the little shit.
You just want to kill the little shit.
Because let's just address that. I mean, Eustace in the book and in this and all forms is just the most obnoxious little turd that you could ever imagine. He was stealing their water, trying to make sure that the crew of the ship didn't get any water.
Bossing everyone around like he was some sort of king or noble.
Wanting the British consulate and all this kind of thing, and
entitled.
That's
very entitled. You just wanted, when he's on the ship, I was just thinking, it's Shark Fest time for chat spot, so could a shark just pop up and eat him? That would have been perfect.
Yeah. Or actually, whatever that creature was that did come and try and eat them.
But by the end, he sort of, but by the end, I guess, he's not.
It's a bit of an allegory. Aslan is an allegory for Jesus or God, and he's giving him a bit of a life lesson in how to behave. So when that happened then and he was back to his human form, he certainly was a better person for it, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Scrooge gets visited by 3 ghosts to show the true meaning of Christmas. Eustace gets turned into a dragon to teach him to be a better person.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing is, at least I was joking saying he's too young to smoke. But at least he got the chance to fly around. He had a bit of fun being a dragon, didn't he? He actually did a bit of work finding the logs, didn't he?
Which that really surprised me. Because, you could just picture him going, I don't take orders from you, but he did. He pulled his weight, so to speak.
There's a few people could turn into some dragons, might be helpful.
Not talking about Neil like that.
No.
And even the flying scenes with the dragon were pretty good for the time.
The fact that the blue screen elements of the fly were done on video, it matches him better with the background in video. Whereas if the background had been on film, been a big jarring contrast, very
video
jarring.
Tends to be a different frame rate from film, so it's certainly the BBC at the time wouldn't have really had the technology to do that. They would have had. That's why they do transfer the film back to video, so that it's at least in the same frame rate, but it doesn't look the same. They don't match together well because they're of different forms, basically. So it's you need to do things differently if you want to apply those digital effects to film. Nowadays that when they shoot on film, they're able to bring that in digitally as film, like the same quality, whereas it wasn't just as easy to do that back then. So that's why a lot of BBC, and not just BBC, but a lot of productions at that time using that technology, that's how they managed to achieve those things on a lower budget, basically.
But then again, I think even stuff today is filmed on video, but it's kind of color corrected to make it look more like film.
Well, the difference today is that the video that we deal with in the that we're talking about now is not videotape. It's and even the videotape that we did use within the last 10 years was digital as well. There's a lot more technology that went into the last of the videotapes. So like even HD, the early HD stuff, is certainly different to what they would have been using back then. So it gives you more of a filmic look, which helps. It definitely does help blend the two together.
But color correction is used to make video look more like film.
Yes, they add in, because the thing is, it's more to do with how the video is shot, because the video is shot very flat. It has a high dynamic range, which basically brings in all the information what the cameras are shooting, and then it's down to like the colorist and the people who come in and make that whatever they want. So if you want to apply certain effects, certain looks to it, you can do that and bring out the detail. Certainly back then, there was not that sort of same technology. It was a lot more based on taking it into a videotape and applying the effect, there and then, and putting it in there. So there's a lot more. That's why the outside broadcast, is a very handy way of doing it. And it, as I said, you can tell, you can see it's video. And in some ways you sort of think, well, I wish it would have been filmed, because for some of the shows you think, oh, it would be brilliant. But, at the same time, it does add its own charm to the production. And I don't think people would, if anything, the only problem I would say, what do you think about this? But the fact that it's not widescreen is probably its only major issue.
One of my pet peeves about older shows being shown on TV is that sometimes, they're cropped. They cut the top and bottom of a 4:3 image to fit it into a 16:9, and the problem with that is you're losing information at the top and bottom. You're also softening the image. To me, it's the reverse of pan and scan with widescreen films. So you
have to sacrifice something in that, but it comes to the question of would kids today enjoy it? Are they able to look past how it was shot? I guess is where I'm heading to with this discussion, because at the end of the day, sometimes kids watch something, they latch on to it, and it doesn't matter where it's from. It doesn't have to be modern. It's just something captures you, and I think this is one of those productions that could do that.
For me, it's more that I enjoy it, but I enjoy it through the eyes of someone who has watched things like that when he was a child. Whether kids today would just see that as old or not, I'm not sure.
It depends on what they're exposed to. Obviously, there are kids who have come up and watched older shows and love them. So I guess it depends on what they're exposed to from a young age. Obviously, if kids.
I mean, for example, are these sort of things ever repeated on TV nowadays?
No, I
haven't. So.
That
tells you something there,
a lot of us like things that are before our time. How many people like the Beatles who were born long after the 60s? How many, and we like a lot of shows in the 60s, and that's before we were born. So this whole thing, it depends on what we're supposed to.
My sister's favorite film was The Wizard of Oz. I mean, that's not exactly a new film,
But so I do agree that this whole it's nonsense to say, oh, it's before my time, because we all like stuff that was like before our time. It's what we're exposed to, and
it does have a timeless quality to it, doesn't it? Because it's kind of set almost. Well, I suppose it is a period piece, and because this wasn't filmed in the time that it was written. Obviously, it was written in the 50s, but it's meant to be set in the 40s or 50s. So it's and it was made in the 80s going into the 90s. So when Lucy has to go up the stairs in the house, and they used a fisheye lens. I'm a fan of fisheye lenses for if you want something to feel like a creepy dream sequence, or that's why, because I've used it for our short film. We did a few test shots with a fisheye lens and things like that, just to for certain, if you want to project a certain feeling, fisheye lenses are great for that. And I think that's the thing. There's a lot of very nice different shots in this, different effects applied, to certain scenes, like towards the end with the really, really bright light coming through, that kind of thing.
another technique that he always shows on these is this, is the shaky camera. Now, shaky camera comes across more like a documentary style now in more ways, but it is also used to convey unease as well. The fisheye lens works great, especially when with studio filming, probably didn't have the freedom that you would have with today's shows. Because as I said, you are filming a lot of those shows with a 3-camera setup, which is a sitcom approach these days.
But even for all that, they do make it feel, like if you hold that up to other shows at the time, you do feel like you're going on the adventure with them. You do feel like you're there with them. It's not like they've locked all the cameras off and they're cutting between the cameras in that show.
Well,
they're obviously using steady cams and handheld shots, and they're mixing it all in, and it does help.
Gives it more filming.
Yeah, exactly.
But obviously, I don't know how these ones were directed. I'm assuming because there's a lot of exteriors and a lot of location work, it was probably more single camera OB.
Well, the director of this, Alex Kirby, is the director of this, and he's done a lot of TV work. So obviously he's an experienced TV director and knows this. Obviously for that period of time, knowing how that outside broadcast stuff works allows you to be able to do things more efficiently. And I have to say, it does look amazing, and even though it's done in a very pedestrian way using BBC cameras, outside broadcast cameras, the same technology they're using when they do the news and they cut to number 10 Downing Street, that's the same technology they're using to make this, if you think about it that way. So to produce things that look as fun as that, I certainly think it's a credit to the producer, Paul Stone, who's an old hand by this stage doing these things. That they're able to manage to keep these things looking like the fantasy world. We have to do this. We have to sort of say, well, what are your standout moments from the film? For me, I enjoyed it all, but I did like the dragon stuff. I thought, for me personally, it took me back to watching it and remembering. I sort of thought, actually that holds up well. All right, if you hold it to the movie version they did, it can't compare. But what I'm trying to say is that I was pleasantly surprised at how well done it was. Comparing it to what they can do today, and comparing it to what probably they would have spent on that at the time, and even considering that we saw on that Blue Peter thing, how they made Aslan, the amount of work that goes into those things is unbelievable. And so to me, I'm just giving a shout out to that scene and the whole setup, the dragon and how it was operated. What about yourself, Ian?
For me, it's kind of similar. It's the dragon, but it's the scene where Aslan is helping him get back to his human form. I just think that the effect of the dragon scales coming off and then him sort of falling into the mist and water and then rising up as the wee ship we all know and love was very well done.
And what about you, Neil? What was your kind of standout from this production?
Well, I think the boat, I like the scale of the boat. They had a model and a life-size boat that I think, the scale worked. There's no shots where I thought that's a model. I feel like they really made it feel like it was really there. So I thought that was a great effect. But I think something that really stood out for me was the water that turned objects into gold. I thought the effect how they did that there, especially when Caspian gets his shell and puts half it in there and he lifts it out and you see half of it dipped in gold. I thought that stands out for me because I thought that's a pretty cool effect of
yes, and you don't see it, you don't see it dripping.
Mm-hmm.
Like as if it's just dipping it into some gold. It doesn't drip gold. It was, as soon as you pulled it out, the gold was sticking to shell. It wasn't dribbling. If you think someone's just dipping it into gold paint, it was very, very well done. Yeah.
Right. So that really stood out for me as a really well done effect. Because you probably do like a CGI effect now, and I think is that the symbol and you could tell it's like real gold.
On a shout out to the painting that they go into. I thought it was done very well when you start to see the waves.
Yes,
just as they're going into it. I thought that looked amazing too.
We were saying when we were watching that it was very reminiscent of Box of Delights.
Yes.
As with Patrick Troughton shows up, and he brings them into the painting there. Same team, effects team, and so on. So
you could tell.
Yeah.
Because there's another scene with the the guy at the end. What was his name? He was like a wizard sort of. When they've got the food at table. They've got the table of food. Sorry, yes.
One about Jeffrey Baldwin.
Yeah.
And he has the little birds go and start eating the food almost, and the food disappears. That was very Box of Delights.
RAMANDU, Ramandu, that was the one you were thinking of.
Right.
Yeah, Jeffrey Bill. He that's him. I was getting confused. I thought the magician was Jeffrey because I knew he was
I'm getting him confused with
but he wasn't. He was the guy that you're talking about. Mr. Starman. He was a star.
Oh, that's right. He was a star. He would die once he gets younger. Wasn't that what he was saying? When he becomes an infant. Yeah.
When he becomes an infant, he goes back up to be a star again. Yes.
Hey.
So you have to remember it's all allegory for life and things like that.
It is. Yeah.
It's the Star Child from 2001.
It is I couldn't find any information about the ratings of this. That's what I was looking for to see, how it did. I'm sure if I had probably more time, I might be able to do that, but I couldn't see anywhere, in the information that I had as to.
Well, obviously it did well enough for them to do the next one.
Yeah, they did 3. So, it was obviously popular enough. So yeah, it was broadcast on Sunday afternoons from mid-November to December 1989. So it's very appropriate that we're actually recording this and be watching it over the same time period that it was originally shown.
And the final episode was aired on Christmas Eve. So I was looking at the dates there earlier.
Yes, and so on that note, actually, we're back with the new series of Chat Schmat, and we've been watching different shark movies and things, and we will be watching other types of movies. But I just want to say on that point, it's 2022 going into 2023. So from me, Johnny Bananas, Johnny Porter. I don't know if anyone has ever seen Mike Lindell's little.
Yeah. yeah.
But it's me, Johnny Porter, actually wishing everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. It's one of those ones, it's been good and it's been bad this year. So let's hope the next year is good for you and your family.
I just want to wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Let's just hope that 2023 turns out to be a better year than this year, which, as Johnny said, has had its ups and downs. So God bless us, everyone.
Have a great Christmas, everyone, and keep safe. And hopefully 2023 will be a much better year for us all.
And if you're watching this in 2023 and it was a shit year, then I'm very sorry about that.
We're sorry. We're sorry.
If you watch this as a repeat, what can we do? You know what I mean? But if you're watching this at Christmas, it's all good.
We're going to hope for the best. That's all we can hope for.
Yes. And we'll be back. You can watch other Christmas episodes on our channel. We did a review of Box of Delights. That's up there as well. And we watched a Christmas horror movie. So check out that video. Because you know what you need every year for Christmas? You need a damn good fright to get into the Christmas spirit. Isn't that how it works?
I believe so.
And don't forget, if you've got any questions, you can pop them in the comments below, or you can email us, show@chatschmat.com. And everybody else that's on this podcast, their information and social media details will be there. So go visit them and check all that good stuff out. But from me, Johnny Porter, again, it's time to say goodbye, and I'll see you again soon. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas.
This is a great adventure, and the worst thing would be knowing when I get back to Narnia that fear made me walk away from a mystery.